That celery base you just tossed in the trash? You paid $2 for it, and the part you threw away is the part that grows back for free. Same with the green onion roots, the leek bottom, the bottom inch of that romaine. The grocery store is happy to sell you the same vegetables over and over. Then somebody figured out that 13 of them will regrow right in a pot on your windowsill, from the scraps you were already about to bin. No garden. No seeds. Just leftovers and a little water. Here is the part nobody at the checkout counter mentions. A lot of vegetables carry their whole comeback plan in the piece we call garbage. The base, the root end, the little knob. That chunk is not waste at all. It is a starter kit the plant packed for itself. Cut it off, set it in water, and the plant does what it was always going to do. It grows again. So let me walk you through all 13, in the order I would actually start them, and I will be honest about which ones give you a real second harvest and which ones just give you a fresh handful of greens. Because I would rather you trust me than oversell you. Let me start with the one that turned me into a believer. The green onion. You know the white root ends you chop off and drop in the bin? Stop doing that. Save a piece about an inch tall, the part with the little stringy roots still attached, and stand it root down in a small glass with about half an inch of water. Just enough to cover the roots, not the whole thing. Put it on a windowsill with some light, and change the water every day or two so it stays clean and clear. Within 4 or 5 days you will see new green pushing up from the center. In a week and a half you have got scallions again. Snip what you need with scissors, leave the roots in the glass, and it keeps coming back for a few rounds before it tires out. A bunch of green onions is $1 or $2 at the store. This turns that dollar into weeks of them. This is the one to start today, because once you see it work, you will trust the rest. Next up is that celery base from the hook. Do not compost the bottom. Save the flat root end, the chunky white part where all the stalks meet, and sit it cut side up in a shallow bowl with an inch of water. Sunny spot fresh water every couple of days. In about a week you will see tiny yellow leaves unfurling right from the center, and it genuinely feels like a small magic trick the first time. After a week or so, you can move it into a pot of soil, burying everything but the new growth. Here is the honest bit. You will not grow back a giant supermarket celery heart. What you get is a steady supply of small tender stalks and a lot of leaves, which are perfect for soups, stocks, and chopping into a salad. And if celery regrows in plain water, the leafy green next door is even easier. That leafy green is romaine, and honestly any lettuce that grows from a base. Same trick as celery. Keep the bottom 2 inches, the solid root end, and set it in a shallow dish with a little water. Bright windowsill, change the water often. In 3 or 4 days the middle starts pushing out fresh new leaves. Now be realistic here. A regrown romaine base gives you a couple of good weeks of baby leaves for sandwiches and salads before it starts to tire out and go bitter. It is not a bottomless salad machine. But for the cost of nothing, and a spot on the windowsill you were not using anyway, a few weeks of free leaves is a fair trade. And the same base method works on a cousin you might not expect. That cousin is bok choy. If you cook a lot of stir-fry, this one is a gift. Save the root end where all the stalks join, that firm little base you would normally chop off and toss. Sit it in a shallow bowl of water on a sunny sill, cut side up, and change the water every couple of days. Within a few days, new leaves start emerging from the middle, and after about a week, you can pot it up in soil to keep it going stronger for longer. You will harvest tender inner leaves and small stalks, great for tossing into a wok at the last minute. It regrows fast, and it looks pretty on a kitchen counter while it does it, almost like a little houseplant that you can eat. Now let me move to a scrap most people do not even realize they are throwing away. That scrap is the leek base. Leeks cost more than green onions, so this one saves you real money. Keep the bottom inch or 2, the white root end, and stand it in a jar with a little water covering just the roots. Sunny window, refresh the water every 2 to 3 days. Within a week you will see new green shoots rising up through the center of the plant. Snip those and they regrow, just like the green onion, but with that softer, sweeter leek flavor that is lovely in soups. You can keep it going in water for a while, or move it to a pot for a longer, sturdier run. And speaking of that licorice-scented family, there is one more base vegetable worth saving. That one is fennel. This is my favorite surprise on the whole list, because so few people know it works at all. When you cook with a fennel bulb, do not throw away the base. Save the bottom inch, the root end, and set it in a shallow dish with an inch of water, base down. Bright windowsill, change the water every couple of days so it does not get slimy. Within a few days, you will see green shoots coming up from the center and little white roots starting below. Here is the honest part. The bulb itself rarely reforms fully in a glass of water. What you get instead is a steady supply of fresh, feathery fennel fronds, that soft licorice-flavored greenery that costs a small fortune when you buy it packaged as a fresh herb, free from a scrap you were about to bin. Now, before we go further, I want to be straight with you about one that gets a lot of hype online. That one is carrot tops. You have probably seen the pretty photos of carrot tops sprouting in a saucer. And it is true, it works and it looks lovely on a sill. But I promised honesty, so here it is. A carrot top will not grow you a new carrot. The orange root is a storage tank, and once you have cut it off, that tank does not rebuild itself from the top. What you do get is a flush of fresh green carrot top foliage, which is genuinely useful. The greens are mild and a little peppery, and they make a lovely pesto or a garnish for a stew, so nothing about that scrap goes to waste. So save the top inch, sit it in a shallow bowl of water on the sill, enjoy the greens for what they are, and just do not wait around for a carrot that is never coming. Now let me switch from water glasses to the ones you actually plant in a pot, starting with a root everybody has in the back of the fridge. That root is ginger. You know that knobby piece that has been sitting in your crisper drawer, growing little bumps? Those bumps are the whole point. Look for a plump piece with a few of those small buds, sometimes called eyes, and let me give you the kitchen version of the science. Ginger does not grow up from a seed. The chunk you plant is basically a battery, packed with everything the new shoots need to get themselves started. Soak your piece overnight, then bury it in a wide, shallow pot of rich soil, buds pointing up, barely covered. Keep the soil moist but not soggy. Keep it warm and be patient because ginger is a slow one. It likes shade and warmth, so a spot that stays cozy is perfect. In a few weeks you get green shoots, and over several months you can harvest fresh ginger by the piece, snapping off what you need. And its neighbor in the fridge follows almost the same idea. That neighbor is garlic. When a clove starts sprouting a little green shoot, most people throw the whole bulb out. Do not. That sprouting clove is not spoiled. It is ready to grow. Push single cloves into a pot of soil, pointy end up and root end down, about an inch deep, and set them by a sunny window. You have got two ways to win here. If you want a fast free harvest, let the green shoots grow tall and snip them like chives. That garlicky green is fantastic on eggs on pasta stirred into butter. If you want a full bulb, give it patience and let it grow on, though a proper bulb really wants a long cool season outdoors to size up. Either way, that sprouted clove you were about to bin is now working for you. Now let me tackle the two that everyone argues about. Quick note before we get to those two, since you have made it this far with me. If any of this is making you look at your kitchen bin a little differently, that is the whole idea, and there is plenty more of this on the channel. Now back to the vegetables everyone argues about. The first of those is the potato. Every potato that has gone soft and sprouted little eyes in the bag is a free crop waiting to happen. Here is the honest, careful version, because this one has a couple of rules. Take a sprouted potato and cut it into chunks, making sure each chunk has at least one or two of those eyes on it. Let the cut pieces dry out for a day so they do not rot in the soil, then plant them a few inches deep in a deep pot or a bucket of loose soil, eyes facing up. Keep the soil damp, give it plenty of sun, and as the plant grows taller, mound more soil up around the stem to give it room to make more. In a couple of months the plant flowers and then dies back, and that is your signal to dig. Underneath, you will find a whole nest of brand new potatoes, from the one you thought was too far gone to eat. And its sweet cousin has a trick all its own. That sweet cousin is the sweet potato, and this is the most fun one to watch happen. Take a sweet potato, cut it in half, and suspend the cut end in a jar of water using toothpicks to hold it up, so the bottom sits in the water and the top stays dry. Put it somewhere warm and bright. In a couple of weeks it sends up leafy shoots called slips. When those slips reach about 4 inches tall, gently twist them off. Set them in a glass of water on their own until they grow their own little roots, then plant those rooted slips in a big pot of soil. Each slip becomes its own sweet potato plant. One grocery store sweet potato can give you a whole handful of plants, which is a genuinely good return on one that was starting to wrinkle anyway. Now let me finish with two that live on your flavor shelf. The first of those is lemongrass. If you have ever bought a stalk of lemongrass for a curry and used only the top part, save the base. As long as your stalk still has the very bottom intact, stand it in a glass with an inch of water on a sunny windowsill, and change the water every couple of days. Within a week or two you will see new roots forming and fresh green growth pushing up from the center. Once it has a decent set of roots, move it into a pot of soil, and it will keep sending up new stalks for you to cut. Lemongrass loves warmth and sun, so the brightest window you have got in the whole house is the place for it, and it will happily sit there earning its keep. That is a plant that costs a few dollars a stalk at the store, growing back for free on your sill over and over. And the last one, number 13, is basil. This one is a cutting, not a base, but it belongs here because it is the exact same free food idea. Next time you buy a bunch of fresh basil, or you are pruning a plant you already have, keep a healthy stem about 4 inches long. Pinch off the lower leaves so you have a bare couple of inches at the bottom, and stand that stem in a glass of water on a bright windowsill. Change the water every other day so it stays fresh and clean. In about 2 weeks you will see little white roots forming along the submerged part of the stem. Once those roots are an inch or so long, pot it up in soil, and you have got a whole new basil plant, absolutely free, from a cutting you would have used once and forgotten. Do it a few times over a summer, and one $3 bunch becomes a windowsill full of basil. So there they are. 13 vegetables and herbs, all regrown from the scraps you were about to throw out. Green onions, celery, romaine, bok choy, leek, fennel, and carrot tops sitting in a glass of water. Ginger, garlic, and potato tucked into a pot of soil. Sweet potato slips, lemongrass, and basil rooting on the sill. None of it needed a seed packet or a backyard or any special skill. It just needed the part of the vegetable that the store quietly treats as trash and that you now know is treasure. Start with the green onion tonight, because the first time you watch it grow back from nothing, you will never look at your kitchen bin the same way again. If you enjoyed this, there is a whole channel full of ways to grow more food for a lot less, so stick around and grow something free.